Alright, welcome back everybody to Culz Book Reviews. This week we are checking out Jurassic Park Adventures Survivor. Now this one was written by Scott Ciencen and is actually part of a trilogy of junior novels that came out around the release of Jurassic Park 3. As you can see here, probably don't need a lot of explanation of what's going on here, but it's going to be about Eric Kirby and his time on Isla Sorna. This is also book one. Since we had done the Jurassic Park 3 junior novelization that Scott Ciencen had done, I thought it was only fair that we did this one. But let's take a look at the book. Alright, so up top we get the Jurassic Park 3 colored logo, but with the T-Rex still. We'll get into why perhaps later. Perhaps just because who's focused in the book. Now, on the cover you do see a picture of Eric Kirby. You got the tiger raptors. You got the doe and the buck here from the Lost World. You got some compies. Now I believe this is still just that Lost World promotional picture that had all of Stan Winston's creations on it, and then they just put in a picture of Eric Kirby. Now maybe I'm wrong, maybe they set them all up again, but it does look just like that one, so I would not be surprised. On the back you see this is book one by Scott Ciencen, Jurassic Park Adventures, this one being Survivor, and it was published by Random House. Now in the back you get, obviously, a little bit about the book. This one's written like Eric Kirby's writing it to you guys. An original novel you can see. The next one is Prey, and was only $4.99. It goes for outrageous prices. And below we got the ISBN for anyone that's interested. Now this one clocks in at 116 pages. Not super long, it's definitely a quick read, and I think that's part of the charm of this one. Obviously it's a junior novel, so none of them are going to be super long. But you do get some artwork of different dinosaurs that are featured throughout the book. There's a lot of raptor pictures, because there's a lot of raptors in the book. There's a Tyrannosaurus, a Triceratops. Tyrannosaurus does feature a couple points in this book. There's a Compsognathus, which does sort of feature in Brachiosaurus. But yeah, let's get into the book. So like I said, this one does explain Eric's survival on Isla Sorna after the parasailing crash and before Dr. Grant shows up. The first chapter starts off with Eric on a yacht with Ben and Amanda. So you get a little bit more backstory with Ben, not a whole lot, but I do feel like these two kind of fleshed out his character more. I mean, obviously in the movie you just see him for what, like 25 seconds or something like that. But you can see it's still early on. Eric is not comfortable with what's going on, obviously with his parents not being together. You know, everything can change when you're told you can go see dinosaurs, and Eric's a big dinosaur fan, so he's pretty excited about that. And he's read some of the books, including Dr. Grant's, which we know from the film. He mentioned it, but we'll get to that. There's a little bit more of that story here as well. Now, the second chapter jumps to the crash and I guess the aftermath of the crash. He talks about how the crash itself is kind of what killed Ben. Like, he just sustained some life-threatening injuries and wasn't able to make it, but told Eric to go to the coast, and that's where people would look for him. Now, when he gets to the beach, he does see a Rex, which is described as being about 15 feet tall, 40 feet long. Now, its coloration is interesting. I'll show you what it says here and kind of give my ideas of what I pictured. Its hide was gray with dull red splotches. Its mouth was filled with 6-inch long serrated teeth. So what we're really looking at here is the color, which is gray with red splotches. Which I'm just going to pop this video up of a Camo Extreme Canyon T-Rex and say perhaps this is what the toy was kind of based on, or vice versa. But yeah, we see this Rex and it's just chilling, and a Pteranodon comes in. I can't tell from the description if it's supposed to be the ones we see in Jurassic Park 3 or the ones at the end of the Lost World. But the Rex ends up killing a Pteranodon and chases Eric back into the forest, where he hits what he thinks is a tree but turns out to be a sauropod. It doesn't really say what sauropod this one is, though later on there's another sauropod that Eric encounters that is referred to as Diplodocus. So a appearance on Site B of Diplodocus, which was interesting. You don't know if that's because the Mamenchisaurus from Lost World look more like Diplodocus, in my opinion, than Mamenchisaurus, but overall, it's always cool to get a new dinosaur, especially on Site B. Of course, I don't think these ones are canon. This one, I think you can slide in as being canon because it really doesn't alter any of the other films. Now, the next two in this adventure series, definitely no way that can be canon. But yeah, this one I don't think would harm you if you were like, this could be what happened, right? Some of the notes I wrote talked about some of the fauna that's still on Site B. Eric does see a snake that attempts to kill a baby ankylosaurus. He also sees butterflies and two-toed sloths. There's actually quite a bit of sloth in the beginning. So he mentions how the native wildlife hasn't been completely wiped out. I don't remember him seeing any monkeys, but he says perhaps this means there are monkeys still on the island. Now, early on in the book, Eric keeps alive by staying high in the trees near the coast, and he finds food because there's a banana tree grove, I should say, from some of the people before Hammond bought the islands, had planted this, and when they left, the trees kept flourishing, so he was able to sustain himself early on with some bananas. My next note kind of shows the tone of this one. It's different than the JP3 Jr. novel, which was, I guess, not childish, but not super dark, it kind of just felt that middle. This one definitely seems slapstick, more childish humor than that one. As far as some of the things that go on, be it he kind of slides down like Fred Flintstone on the Diplodocus. There's a lot of gas jokes and that kind of stuff, so definitely some more childish humor. When seeing the Diplodocus, he does say that the feet are elephant-like, which is not something, obviously, if you look at sauropod feet, very much different than elephant feet, especially the front ones. We talked about this in Matt's recent Spirits of the Silver Screen episode about Mekele Mbembe, so go check that one out, link above. Now, outside of Diplodocus, we do get one other new dinosaur. Now, this one has shown up in at least Dominion in the prologue. I'm sure it showed up at some point in the film, but I just don't remember off the top of my head. But it's Iguanodon. They are described in the book as big as Tyrannosaurus, which is pretty big. I mean, Iguanodons were pretty massive, though. Eric kind of gets saved by a juvenile one, and doesn't make a clear point as if the Iguanodon meant to save him or if it was going for what were, he had a collection of soy patties he found in the compound, so it doesn't say if it just kind of happened to save him by going for the food. But yeah, he names it Iggy, and this one is a recurring dinosaur character that shows up a couple different times. Now, he didn't just find soy patties in the engine compound, he also found a copy of Alan Grant's first book before he was on the island, and so he was going to read that again. So again, makes a little bit more sense perhaps why he was able to recognize Grant when he saw him in the truck there in JP3. Now, eventually he has to get out of the compound because the raptors are breaking in. I do believe this is the same compound that we see in JP3, so you know that the raptors were patrolling that area. But he finds a map to a safe house that Engine had left, and he goes to find it using the map. Now on his way there, there's like a jungle scene where there's like an injured Rex. This one has a different coloration as well. It sounded like it was more of a red. Also not feeling well. Eric doesn't know why. But some raptors come in. It's pretty fast paced, but it does sound like the raptors were able to kill a full-grown Tyrannosaurus in this one. It was like stuck and not really able to move in the trees. But yeah, I mean, if you go off that, the raptors at some point of the script were supposed to kill the Spinosaurus. They were really building them up as like the ultimate threat, because they killed the Tyrannosaurus here. They, in that script, perhaps they killed the Spinosaurus. Not in the movie we got, obviously, but yeah, raptors play a huge part. They play a huge part in this book, period. Pretty much the main threat is going to be raptors. They actually end up corralling a herd of iguanodons that includes Iggy into like this kind of like crevasse that has opened up between some ridges where they'll go pick off the iguanodon when they're hungry. So definitely very nimble. The raptor here has a coloration of a like red circle. So if you've been collecting Jurassic Park, there's a certain red raptor that came out around the Jurassic Park 3 toy line. Maybe that was it, I don't know. There was a funny comment where Eric says some scientists think dinosaurs actually ate themselves into extinction. So that was interesting in the book. We get a fight between the herd of iguanodons and a pack of raptors. Now the raptors are just slaughtering these iguanodons. They do get some help. Eric does find the weapons in the safe house as far as the tear gas, which we saw in JP3, as well as the stun gun. And he's able to kind of help the iguanodons fend off some of these raptors. The main raptor is how he actually got that claw, so it explains how he got that claw that he showed Dr. Grant in JP3. And this one ends with Eric hearing the voice of Dr. Grant. He doesn't know it at the time, and so it leads into JP3. So take it as you will. Personally, for me, it wasn't terrible. I would probably have to rate this lower, like maybe a 5.56. Like it was okay. As I had said earlier, it does play into more of a childish aspect, but this was written for younger audiences. I'm sure they would get a kick out of it reading it. I think as a Jurassic fan, it's at least interesting to read, to kind of see, perhaps not true canon, but maybe some soft canon of what happened with Eric on the island. It does go by super fast, and it doesn't feel like 8 weeks. There are points where he says he doesn't know how many weeks went by, so it's interesting. I think this would be a fun book or concept to reapproach nowadays, to make actual true canon, make a little bit bigger of a book. I think it would be fun to get the right author. I mean, even Scott Ciencen, I thought he did fantastic in JP3. We'll check out the other adventure books at some point. This one was okay. There is quite a bit of Tyrannosaurus. Pteranodon shows up sometime. No Spinosaurus, so saving that reveal, I guess, for the JP3 stuff. Not terrible. Not the best. But it's not super long, so it's not too offensive as far as like making me feel bad or feel like I wasted time. I still enjoy it. I still got some good stuff. Took some good notes. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you guys did, we'll definitely come back to Adventures Book 2 and 3. Now these ones, unfortunately, go for absurdly ridiculous amounts for books, considering how much they cost. I think this one was like $5 at the time it was released, and now you can... This one's probably the cheapest of the three, so you might be able to get this one for like under 20 to $20 still, so just keep an eye on it. But yeah, unfortunately these ones are not super easy to get, so at least I'm happy to have shared it with you guys, and hopefully you guys could learn or take something away. Perhaps, you know, at some point, if you guys would like, we could have someone sit down and actually read the book and narrate it, and at least have a copy here for you guys to listen to. If that's something you guys would enjoy, please tell us in the comments below. Like I said, it's just, these are super hard to find, so I want you guys spending an arm and a leg to purchase them. But yeah, not the worst thing, and I'm always pro anything Jurassic Park. We'll start getting into some more stuff because I really enjoy it, and stuff that I can just do and sit down and talk to you guys about, so keep an eye out. But until next time, more Culz book reviews to the left. For more Jurassic Park stuff, we'll put a playlist in the description below, but for now, one will also pop up to the bottom left. For more about us here at Culz Paranormal, click a link to your right, and don't forget to hit that like and give us a subscribe, and let us know, is there a book or Jurassic Park book that you'd like us to check out? Tell us in the comments below.